The Democrats have become the true opposition party because now they're opposing Donald Trump over every single thing he does, whether they have a reason for it or not. And this obviously puts them on the wrong side of several issues, including the Make America Healthy Again movement. Because obviously here in this country, we are more unhealthy than we've ever been. But according to the Democrats, everything's fine. Keep up the status quo, which of course is what's going to be discussed over here on CNN with Markwayne Mullin completely destroying Kasie Hunt on this exact same topic. But before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can get through the algorithms. Here we go.
Well, I think he's concerned about the American people's health as a whole. I mean, if you go back to when CDC was stood up, which was 1946, July 1st, 1946, which would have been 79 years ago, there was only 3% of the country that had chronic illness. Today, we're over 76%, which used to, it was okay to question science. Now you can't. To even question Bobby Kennedy and say, hey, are we sure we're moving in the right direction? There's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's when you start accusing him of being unethical, or you're starting accusing him of sabotage, or you start accusing him of being an anti-vaxxer or something like that. But to question science, I mean, why are we the sickest nation in the world? Kasie, we should be asking that question. What is wrong with saying, okay, if in 1950 we were at 3% chronic illness, today we're at 76. In 1950 we were one of the healthiest nations. Today we're the sickest nation in the world. Where has CDC succeeded? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. What Bobby is doing, or Secretary Kennedy is doing, is he's going in there and he's questioning things, saying, hey, we need to look at every aspect. There isn't anything that should be unlooked at. Just because it's science and we think it's proven science, science is always changing.
So I want to pull apart, I take your point about chronic diseases, and it's very clear that there are a lot of Americans in the world that are concerned about things like food dyes and pesticides and all the things.
Let's talk about autism. I mean, autism is running rampant.
So I want to pull all of that chronic stuff apart from trust in vaccines, because if the kids at my kid's school don't get vaccinated for the measles, the chances that my kid is going to get measles go up, right? So that affects all of us. And it was very clear today that we saw Secretary Kennedy questioning these vaccines. That was the heart of what Barrasso was saying. It was the heart of what other Republicans have been focused on. Do you think Secretary Kennedy's in the right place on vaccines?
I absolutely do. I'm a father of 6. All my kids are vaccinated. But it did question it. When you start looking at statistics, what was it? 1 in 10,000 kids when we first started tracking autism was diagnosed with as autistic. Today, it's 1 in 10,
but
and in some numbers are less than that.
To vaccines?
I'm not. I'm saying, why wouldn't we look at it? What's changed? What we need to do is look at.
We have looked at it,
no,
and there has been
So we shouldn't look at it again.
And there have not. The study showed there was no connection between the MMR vaccine and autism. There was a retracted study.
Well, there's different ingredients than just 1 or 2 things inside vaccinations. There's several things that go into every vaccine, and look at how many shots we were giving our kids. When my first son was born 21 years ago versus to what my 14-year-old daughter has to get now for school is greatly different. And that was just a short period of time. We're increasing the number of vaccines we're giving to the kids, and we're increasing chronic illness. We're increasing autism.
But why
wouldn't we just
question it?
How
do you know that that's connected?
We don't, but why wouldn't we look into it?
Well, why would...
So what's wrong, Kasie? What's wrong with questioning it? Why should we question it? As a parent, I know you're a parent, I'm a parent. Why wouldn't we question it? What is wrong with Bobby questioning what the CDC is doing? Because it's not working right now.
Well, he's in charge, and he controls access for many Americans because what the CDC says and does with its vaccine schedule affects insurance. It already has taken away choice for people who want to get the COVID vaccine at their local CVS in over a dozen states. How is that giving people more choices and allowing them to question more effectively?
If anybody wants a COVID vaccine, they can go get it. CDC has been failing. We know that by just looking at statistics of where we were in 1950 to where we are today with chronic illness alone, we know it's failing. So there has to be changes made. And what Secretary Kennedy is doing, is he is questioning science and he's bringing in change. We should be thankful that this administration is trying to change the healthiness of the American people. When we look at where we are today as far as being the sickest nation in the world, we have to make changes.
In your home state of Oklahoma, tetanus, polio, MMR, Hep A, Hep B, chickenpox, kids have to have all of these to go to school. And if there are kids that don't get this regime, the other kids around them are more likely to get sick. No?
How many vaccines are we giving out today?
To our children?
Yeah, to our children.
Well, if you listen to...
All the way through before they go to school, college.
Well, I think that what RFK's answer would be is about 76, but the way that obscures, it's the number of shots for several of these.
And what was it in 1980?
Sir, I don't know, because
okay.
I didn't vaccinate kids in 1980. I'm doing it now, so I know the vaccines now.
So let's just use your number of 76, and let's go back to just use another number of 7, because it was under 10.
And I would just like to clarify that 76 is misleading. It is used by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but it counts up the number of times there are, say, 3 courses for MMR, right? You need 3 shots over years to get vaccinated for MMR. So when you count them all up, it's 76, but it's misleading because the number of diseases that you're vaccinating against is closer to 20.
Okay, well, let's just use, is it being effective? Because if we have 76%,
my kid has not had any.
But if we're looking at 76% of the population now has chronic illness, 1 out of every 10 kids today have autism. What is it? Are we healthier as a nation or are we not?
But why is that about vaccines?
We don't know if it's about vaccines. What we're saying is what Bobby's doing is questioning science.
But you're taking
used to it was okay
you're
to
going to
question
risk
science.
Kids dying of measles?
We're not going to die. We're not taking the risk of measles. We're not anti.
More kids have died of measles in this country this year than in decades.
Well, if you want to get into that, we can talk about the open southern border and what caused that. Because you had an inflation over 20 million people that came over illegally underneath the Biden administration that wasn't vaccinated. We're not talking about measles outbreaks from kids that were born and raised here inside the United States. We're talking about ones that were brought over here illegally. And you can make that connection. There's no one can argue that.
Okay. Well, sir, I think we actually are probably out of time here.
So here we have a visibly upset Kasie Hunt, right? Why are you denying the science? Because that's the first thing that the left always goes to, right? The science is settled. There's no room for questioning. When, as a matter of fact, as we all know, that's not how science works. You do a study, you publish your findings, and people can try to disprove that it's true, right? And if you can't, guess what? We accept it as being true for now. And if there's ever any new information, then by all means, we have to do new studies to try to verify whether or not that's true, right? That's how science actually works. But I find it interesting. One of the first things that Kasie Hunt does is say, okay, we're going to separate the food dyes, the chemicals and all that stuff that we put into our bodies. We're going to separate all of that from the vaccine because obviously we're supposed to trust the same government that said it's okay to put all of these chemicals into your body while ignoring all of these vaccines going into our bodies, okay? Yeah, we might want to do a second look at that. And that's what Markwayne Mullin is bringing up. Notice how we have this exploding rate in autism, right? Can we study that? No, the science is settled. Studies have been done. Can we do some new studies? When was the most recent study conducted? What were its findings? What's the exact results? Instead, we just blatantly say that, oh, scientists found out there's no connection, and we're all supposed to believe that, despite the fact, as I just mentioned, it's been okay to put certain chemicals into your body for years. But let's go ahead and leave that on the table, right? Let's pretend that all the vaccines are 100% safe and everything's above board, right? Here's a great question that Markwayne Mullin asks. Are they effective? All right. Is the CDC actually doing its job? Are we more healthy now after enacting all of this stuff than we were in the past? And the answer, of course, is no. So even though we have more vaccines, more chemicals, all this stuff that's supposed to make us healthier, it's not working. And as a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite that is true. But of course, what's Kasie Hunt's retort to all this? We just had a huge outbreak in measles. Yeah. And guess what else we had an outbreak of? Polio, the plague, right? Things that we thought were gone in this country. And Markwayne Mullin gives an excellent reason as to why this possibly could be the wide open border that let millions upon millions of people into this country that, of course, were unchecked, unvetted, and definitely unvaccinated, right? And all this, of course, was happening during a time when you and I had to wear masks, had to be on lockdown. We're almost forced to get vaccine passports just to simply move around in this country. But when this issue is brought up, notice how quickly Kasie Hunt ends the interview, all right? So all of this, of course, goes to show that we have to be allowed to question our systems because guess what? That's how science actually works. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.